right, it is the hour, and we do have a quorum present, so at this time, I'd ask that you rise with me and recite the pledge and remain standing for the invocation that'll be led by Councilman Cole. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilman Cole.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, I pray that you will be with each of us on this council tonight and the town staff who have been entrusted to make decisions for our people. Help us do the just thing, do the right thing, and help us to always look out for the good of the community. We thank you for all the blessings you've given to this community, to our people, and we pray that they will continue. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Members of council, y'all have in your agenda packet the minutes, draft minutes from March 3rd. When you've had time to review those, I'll accept a motion to adopt those minutes. Again, we're talking about the March 3rd meeting.
Move to adopt. Second.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilman Rogers. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Councilman Cole?
I will abstain due
Okay.
to not being present.
Okay. So we got 3 and 1, no one abstained. March 7th meeting, y'all have that. That was a special call meeting.
Oh,
Wrong one.
well,
How would you have voted in favor?
I would have voted in favor of March the 3rd.
All right, so we'll make that all 4 in favor of March 3rd. March 17th meeting, that's a special call meeting. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt that meeting minutes as written.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Rogers, second by Councilman Alexander. Discussion. Councilman Cole said he would abstain from this one since he was not present. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And we have 3 with 1 abstention. Public comment. Next up, we have Roberta Hamby with Envision Williamston. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over. Mr. Martin Okereke.
Yes.
Step right up to the mic up here, please, sir. Does anybody know if the mic's on?
It is.
Okay. Please state your name and speak clearly to the microphone, please.
My name is Martin Okereke.
Okay.
So I was born in Nigeria and came here for my master's. And right now I live in Williamston with my wife and daughter. I started Pelzer United Soccer Club this spring with the mayor of Pelzer, Mayor Will Wagner. And Pelzer United is a 501c3 organization, non-profit organization. We engage in, we provide soccer opportunities and programs to the youths in Pelzer, Williamston, and West Pelzer. So this spring we had about 40 players engaged in playing soccer, and we're still growing in numbers. So this spring we offered pickup soccer every Saturday. In the summer we plan on also offering pickup soccer, and in the fall we plan on offering practices, games, and scrimmages and the rest of it. Right now we're using one of the ball fields in the Bill Hopkins ball fields, and I think it's a baseball field. But due to its size, we are unable to do so much with it. I mean, we're able to have some practices, but it limits us with the kind of with the numbers of players we have. Able to practice at the same time, and also with the kind of games we need to be able to play. So that is why I'm here. I'm here to request the use of the Williamston soccer field. This is going to enable us have more practices and more games for the kids, and eventually we're able to meet requirements. So our goal for the club is to meet the requirements of to join the South Carolina Youth Soccer Association. This is important because it's going to provide us, pathway for development, structured environment, liability insurance, and opportunities for rec programs and also travel soccer. So I've reached out to start this process, but we need to meet some requirement. That would be having a big field that can accommodate, 7v7 play, 9v9 play, and 11v11 play, which I think the Williamston field is able to do that because of its size. So also the club is currently collaborating with Easley, soccer club in Easley, and also Foreman United, the one in Greenville. They would help us to, they would allow us to participate in their rec games and also in their travel games whenever we have players for that. I know the town of Williamston has a great rec program, and I'm sure other neighboring towns are jealous of that. But one thing surely we don't have is soccer program, and I feel that Puzzle United can be able to engage the youth in that, be able to offer that particular program to the town and to neighboring towns, and I hope the council is able to help us achieve this. Thank you.
All right, so I've got a quick, stay up there if you don't mind.
Yes,
I got a couple
please.
quick questions for you.
Yes, sir.
So are you guys affiliated currently with any organization, youth league, any type of youth league, or how do y'all play games? Is it just pick up, you go?
So, so we started pick up this spring just to be able to get a feel of players who are interested in playing soccer. But in the fall,
So there's no league affiliation currently? You're
Yes.
trying to get affiliated with the South Carolina Youth
Yes.
Association?
yes, there is no league affiliation currently. We need to be able to meet some requirements, and that would be a field big enough to be able to have 7v7, 9v9, 11v11. The bill,
Have you visited our field and you're familiar
yes,
with the
I have
size?
several times, yes.
And it would meet the expectations?
Yes, yes, it's going to meet the expectation, but it needs to be, taken care of. But
Okay.
yes.
The age group?
So currently we do have ages from 5 to 14, but we also have, 5 to 16. But I think we have more on the lower side, which is the 5 to the 14-year-olds. The older ones, currently, we have very few players interested. But those older groups will need to play 11v11, and we'll need a bigger field for that.
Okay, and the name of the organization is, say it, one time.
Pelzer United Soccer Club.
Pelzer United Soccer Club.
Yes, sir.
And that's how these 501c3 is listed?
Yes, sir.
Is it in good standing with the Secretary of State and the IRS?
Yes, sir. I can provide you documents for that.
Okay. How's your coaching structure currently? Is it just parents of the kids?
Because right now we're dealing with rec, we're dealing with just rec programs, so it's going to be mostly volunteers, which
Okay.
is parents or anyone interested. But the moment we get into travel soccer, it's going to be those coaches who are licensed. I am licensed, so whoever is going to coach travel soccer has to be licensed also.
Okay. And your fees, what are your fees currently?
Fees for the pickup soccer is $50. But in the fall, it's going to have to increase because we're going to be engaging in practices twice a week and games on Saturday.
And that covers uniforms, stuff like that, but does not cover salaries for people, correct?
Yes, correct.
Two more questions.
Yes, sir.
When is the times that you would need the fields? Would it be after dark?
So for practices, it's going to be from 5 o'clock. So we're open 5, 6, 7, and mostly to end at 9 latest.
So you would need to burn the lights?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And when specifically, what months would you need the field? Let me tell you where I'm getting at. Our youth league, the football, actually uses that field as well.
Okay.
So there may be some scheduling conflicts there.
Okay.
Maybe we have to get with our recreation director and find out,
Sure.
when he's not using it to where y'all would be able to.
Sure, we can. Yes, we can make it work then. Yeah.
Okay, do y'all have your own goals and those type of things? We've got some goals out there, but
Yeah.
if you've been out there, you'll see they look
Yes.
really bad.
Yes, I've seen some of the goals, and we can put some of them in shape, but we'd have to do with what we have.
All right, and the second thing, do y'all have any insurance?
Yes, so there was an insurance for the Pelzer, for town of Pelzer, so I'm just going to add the town of Williamston to that.
As like an additional insured?
Yes.
Okay. What would you be willing to do to help us with the maintenance of that field? One of the biggest issues we have is people coming in, trashing it, little things like picking up trash on the field, making sure that it's secured. Every evening it gets left wide open and people break the locks off, burn the lights all night long. It's been problematic for us. So I want to see folks using that field and using it in a responsible and in an appropriate way.
So that will be mostly taking care of the trash, and I'm guessing the town wants to continue taking care of the grass.
We would continue to go
Okay,
through that.
so taking care of the and also locking the goals after use, just putting them on the side to make sure it's free for other people to use.
I believe those are all the questions that I have. Any other member of council have any questions?
Mayor, I have a few comments.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for doing this, and say your last name again for me.
My last name is Okereke.
Okay. I keep wanting to say, there's a little island off the coast of North Carolina called Ocracoke.
Oh.
I keep wanting to say that, but
Not that.
So I saw some about the Pelzer United and was glad to see that. I actually, you can tell by looking at me, I don't play much soccer these days, but I was, had the honor to head up our local soccer program from 2012 to about 2020, and then some other folks took it over and the town, and then there different things happened, and it kind of fizzled out, unfortunately, as things go sometimes. But it is a great thing for the community, and we're glad to have some interest back in it, but it's a lot of work, as you know already, and so I appreciate that. And Mayor, I would be in favor of this, of allowing them to use it, and with the exact terms of the agreement to be approved by the mayor.
Okay.
So if it's on the agenda, if it's appropriate, I'll make that in the form of the motion.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. Motion on the floor by Councilman Cole, second by
I have a
Councilman
question
Alexander.
before we're gonna go.
Typically we do a first motion, second, then we go on discussion, so we're good now. All right. So we got a motion on the floor by Councilman Cole, second by Councilman Alexander. Now we're in discussion. Sorry, go ahead.
The mayor asked most of the questions I had, but I have another question about participants and parking. Any idea how many participants you'd have at any given time, or the maximum?
So for each, what we can try to do right now is for each age group, we can try to split them up. So usually the field can accommodate about 2 to 3 teams at once. But I think since we have issue with the parking lot, we can just maybe a team at once to ensure we have enough space for that.
And one thing that we ended up, I'm sorry, Councilman Rogers has the floor. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
One thing that we had to do in the past, just as a suggestion, and this is something that you could speak to the mayor about, is hire off-duty officers to direct traffic.
Okay.
And I know we did that for several years, and that was our officers back then had time to do it and were willing to do it. Now, of course, that's assuming that they still would, but the mayor could assist you with that potentially.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions by members of council? So those would be things we would look at. If we see this is going to become, we'd obviously to back up punt, we may look at requiring officers to be there if you're going to have that many teams at one time. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that's something we can look at, once we get going. The concerns that I would have that, we got a motion on the floor in a second, basically to let me work with you
Okay.
in trying to get that set up. What I would need from you would be the additional insured from your insurance carrier.
Okay.
That would be number one. Number two, I would need to coordinate with BJ just to, that's our youth director,
Okay.
and confirm there's no scheduling conflicts.
Okay.
And then number three would be some type of written agreement,
Okay.
where you guys are
Yes.
using the fields. Do y'all have something like that that you did with Pelzer, or is it just a verbal?
Just verbal agreement right now with
Yeah,
Pelzer.
we'd probably have something
Yes.
in writing that
Yes.
says, and we've had a youth program at one time that was ran by, what was the name of that? Palmetto Soccer
Palmetto
Club.
Soccer Club.
Yes.
I don't know if they're still,
No.
I think they're defunct now, so this certainly allows you to come in and help fill a void in that area. One of the biggest concerns that I had with Palmetto Soccer Club was from time to time, folks will be unresponsive. And so people would assume that to have their kid lined up for a game or to play,
Yes.
they would be calling up the town hall, and our staff has no rough idea what you're doing because you're doing your own thing.
Yes.
And so that ended up being conflict from time to time. I would ask that when you get this thing set up, clearly and communicate to the folks exactly what's going on.
Right.
Let them know if they have a question to reach out to you or to another member of your organization, because our staff at town hall aren't gonna have the foggiest idea what you guys have going on.
I understand that,
Does
Mayor.
that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So if you will do me a favor, today is Monday, at some point in time this week, get with our clerk up at town hall, this is Michelle. Probably put him in touch with BJ, try to arrange a time where they can work out a schedule, and then I would like to meet with the three of you, together collectively.
Okay.
In the meantime, go ahead and get your insurance, paperwork, get that up here to Michelle, she can get that on file for us as well.
Okay.
All
All
right,
right. Thank you.
thank you so much, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
We got to vote.
Oh, yeah, so he's good. All right, we got a motion on the floor and a second, any further discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, it's unanimous. Whew. Old business, we have second reading on the ordinance to,
That's where
Roberta. Bless.
Thank you for remembering me.
I've got all sorts of writing up here on my notes, so I'm kinda skipping through stuff.
Mayor and council, thank you for your time. Ribbon cutting at Wicked Lick Saturday was a huge success. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Chris Alexander, for showing up for the ribbon cutting. Some people waited 2 hours on Saturday to get their ice cream. Me and my grandchildren waited an hour on Sunday. They had over 1,000 people show up that they served ice cream to. So if you haven't stopped by yet, please do. Buy you a t-shirt, a Wicked Licks t-shirt, and get you an ice cream.
Just for the record, so I can speak, I was there on Sunday, and I also spent an hour in line with my two girls, so, we had a great time, it's very great ice cream. For those of you who are familiar with the rolled ice cream, you know, where they kind of pour it out on a, sub-zero degree slab, and they roll it up, it's fantastic. Strawberry cheesecake was amazing.
Pecan pie.
It's pecan.
Pecan. We're from the South. You get your pecan self on up north. Junk in the trunk yard sale, we sold 50 spots, making $500 for Envision Williamston for another event. We'll do it again in the fall, so that was a great turnout. Pastor's breakfast, we had 6 pastors cancel the last minute. We had 7 pastors show up. The board has decided we're gonna send out a letter, and we're gonna see if they would rather do a dinner for the fall rather than a breakfast, because breakfast time seems to be hard now for pastors. So we'll get back and let y'all know what we're gonna do with that closer to the time. Police department back to school drive this year. We lost our officer that was sponsoring the event, with Lee Mahaffey leaving. So Chief Marcy is working to get us another officer on board with that. I've already sent in the Duke Energy grant for $2,000 this year to go towards the program. And we are doing it a little differently this year. We're doing it more like a shopping experience. Instead of packing the book bags with Duke Energy in advance, we're gonna set up tables around the auditorium, and we're gonna let businesses and the police department and whoever else wants to set up a table with different school supplies, and the kids will get an invitation, and these are the at-risk kids and the homeless kids in Anderson School District 1. They'll get a special invitation to come to a party, a police department party, and then they'll get to shop at each table and get their supplies. So maybe it won't be quite as embarrassing as just coming for a free event. They'll get to have a fun day. We've got Carolina Community Center may be doing hot dogs, and Vision Williamston will be doing popcorn and drinks. And so we hope, and maybe get a bouncy house and just make it a fun day for them. Hometown Hero banners have been ordered. We will be adding 25 more banners down Main Street, and they will be here in time. He assured me for us to put them up for Armed Forces Day in May.
How many did you say we had extra?
We have 25. We just ordered 25 new ones to go
Fantastic.
down. So we may make it all the way down and not have to skip. I think we skipped 4 poles the last time, and so we may only have to
So
skip 2.
is that in addition to the ones we
That's in
are?
addition to the ones we
Okay.
had. We only had 2 people come back and get banners from the last time, but we have all the original banners.
Okay.
And then Envision Williamston also ordered our new banners, and we want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Chris Alexander again for the new design for our banners. It was passed by the board, and those have been ordered, so we'll be getting those soon. And those dirty looking white Envision Williamston banners up and down Main Street will be down after we get, take down the Hometown Hero banners. And we'll be putting those up with the new design. And if y'all hadn't seen it, it's great. It's got a blue background instead of the white with the Envision Williamston logo and still says Spring to Life on it. Pictures with the Easter Bunny has moved to the middle school. That's where the PBA is having their Easter egg hunt, and that's April the 12th. So the Easter Bunny will be at the middle school. Also, the Easter Bunny will be on the fire truck on Thursday, April 17th. That's at 5 till probably around 8. We're gonna ride the truck, and then we're just around all the communities like we've done. We do, 3 or 4 communities? We try to hit all of them, Chief? And then we end up in the park at the end after the ride. I also talked to Officer Lauren, and she was gonna see about getting an officer on because normally the police department does something with the bunny too, and since we're so close to Easter, she said she would probably just put an officer on the truck with the bunny, so we can get the police officers and the firemen at the same time waving to the kids and everything. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Rockin' the Spring is also April the 12th. Kendall Langford's coming back to town. That's a free concert in the Williamston Park, and that starts at 6 o'clock. Working on Williamston Town Cleanup Day. I need all of you right now to get your phones out and put it on your calendars and put your reminders and then put your reminders again, and then Roberto put a reminder to remind you. And the one that I'm doing that to knows because he's grinning. We're going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to meet at the amphitheater. The mayor did send us a list of plannings if we want to do the bulb outs. We need to discuss if we're going to try to just focus on the park. With it being us doing the working on Williamston before the spring water, that might be a great time for us to be getting it ready for the Spring Water Festival too. So if we focus all our time and attention there.
What
And then
date
Pete's,
is that again?
sir,
What date is that again?
the working on Williamston Town Cleanup Day. That's the 19th of April. And that starts at 8 a.m. at the amphitheater. It runs until 12, and then at 12 o'clock, First Citizens Bank will have us a pizza lunch there. Envision Williamston will have a table at the Spring Water Festival again this year. And as y'all know, Spring Water Festival has changed to the 2nd to 3rd. We will have a table there, and this year we will be given, last year we gave away the Solo stove, and that was a great hit. This year we'll be giving away a Ninja slushy machine at Envision Williamston table. And we do that to gain all the data and the information and stuff. Then immediately following the Spring Water Festival, Cinco de Mayo is going to be May the 3rd. So we got May the 2nd and 3rd all day, well, evenings on both days. So come on out to Cinco de Mayo and mark your calendars. That starts at 6 o'clock, and we'll have DJ EZ there bringing us music that night. Then let's go on to May the 16th. That's Pig in the Park. Envision Williamston is bringing the band that day, and we're helping the Masonic Lodge with the craft market. The Combo Kings will be there, and that'll start at 5:30 on May the 16th. A couple of things.
Are all these dates on the Facebook page?
They're all on the Facebook page, and there's calendars at the front, Lee, on the fireplace at the front. And if you want to grab one, and it's updated. The things that we changed are updated too. We received a few notifications this weekend, as we do most of the time. So I was asked to bring it in front of mayor and council that a local restaurant is overcharging, and so they wanted to see if the mayor and council could do anything about that. I was also received a call about the turf at the playground around the merry-go-round, and it's starting to get worn down a little bit, so I was asked to bring that to y'all's attention because that's what Envision Williamston does. And then I received another text to tell the mayor and the council that the park is the best in the upstate, and to please tell y'all thank y'all very, very much for all the time and effort y'all put into the playground. And they said that they take their kids all over the upstate, and Williamston's is the best. So even though we get the crazy stuff, we get good stuff too sometimes. Jumping completely out of my lane now. I mean, all that stuff was out of my lane, but I didn't jump. Somebody made me jump. Somebody pushed me. This one, we have been talking about the fireman's gazebo for several years, and we've been talking about the poles. We're not even going to talk about the benches anymore. That's water under the bridge. There's no benches there anymore. But the poles are in kind of disrepair. So Tony Young was here waiting on to meet with the mayor to give him an estimate on bathrooms and stuff. And I asked him if he would just work me up an estimate. I just thought, but you know, Roberta's not a contractor, but I thought they could pour footings around what was there and then just build whole new ones around it, and he said no, he said they would jack up each side, they would do one at a time on each side, and so he did give me estimates. This is only one estimate that I have received.
Oh, sorry.
And this would this fully repair that gazebo, or
It would put all new poles, it would take down every pole that's there now, and it would put all new poles back up, and I don't know if
and
you
then
can.
but the roof would still be the old one?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
everything,
But it's in good shape?
everything's in
When
good
you,
shape.
when you mean new poles, you're talking about the brick and the wood?
Brick and wood, he's gonna be getting rid of those, and it's probably just gonna be poles, it's
Okay.
probably just gonna be big poles.
Let me give you all a little update on that. So this is something I've been working on for at least 2 years. I've met at least 3 contractors on site, and everybody has their own idea of how to fix it. Basically, you've got brick going up, and then it transitions to 4x4 wooden posts. The 4x4 and the brick have actually pushed each other out, so the brick columns are actually leaning out, to the point where, to me, it looks like it could fall. So I've met with several contractors, not one has provided me a price yet. So this is the first, I actually had talked with him a month ago, and he said that he was going to get one, so thank you for getting him on it. This is the only number I've come up with, so if, I can't make people quote a job that they don't wanna do, and that's one of the issues that we have. Particularly with our purchasing policy, it requires 3 bids on something. If somebody's not gonna bid it, no problem, just give me a piece of paper, says no bid on it, and that's good, I can use that as one of the 3. But the problem is that, like, people just go MIA, they go out, they'll look, sometimes they'll go out and look at it, sometimes they just ghost you. The same thing happened with the gazebo up here at the, Bojangles, you know, that guy, he starts and we give him a little bit of money and he stops and starts and stops and starts and it never gets finished, then we end up hiring Tony Young to come in and complete it. But again, we're gonna get anybody else to do it, so, I'm not sure how we get additional contractors. We've always posted on the town's social media page, we make phone calls. Oftentimes, if the project is large enough, we'll actually advertise on skibos as well, which is the state purchase. Go ahead, Councilman.
I was gonna say, nobody wants to bid on these small jobs right now.
Yeah, well, that's one of the issues we run into. It makes it very difficult for me to follow our purchasing policy, get things done in a timely manner. You know, we're sitting here looking right now at Veterans Park Bridge that's got some major structural issues to the point where I've got it shut down. There should be no pedestrian traffic on it. And I can't tell you how many people we reached out to that have came out and looked at it. Tony was one of them today, and he's recommending an engineer come out and look at it and shore it up on both sides. But again, this is something that requires some heavy equipment over there in a hard-to-get area. And it's not something we can just go fix with a Bobcat or a, backhoe. So, y'all need to be aware that that's a major challenge for us, from time to time. You know, you see road closed or something like that, you think, well, why does it take so long? You can't find people to work these days. So, we do try to do things in-house when we can. Much to Councilman Rogers' chagrin, when he was public works director, I'd go out there and dig a cotton picking road up and throw some pipe in the ground and a heartbeat, as opposed to just waiting on somebody else to come do it. But it's a challenge that we live in today. So, all right, carry on, sorry.
Mayor, could I
Go ahead.
comment on this
Absolutely.
briefly? Just to, while it's part of our discussion, I don't know all the history, and some person may, but I know if you look at old pictures, it appears that fireman's gazebo is in the old pictures. So if there's, I believe most of our structures in the park do have historic value. And so if we're talking about taking the brick down and putting something else back up, I understand if that's what has to be done, that's what has to be done. I'm not an expert on those kind of things, but I would request that if we do that, to try to find another use in the park for those brick, because I assume they are old.
My request to Mr. Young was actually to remove them, take the mortar off of it as much as, if they're able to be salvaged, and repurpose those right back in the same place. Now, whether he's able to do that or not, I don't know.
That would be great.
But it's not something we just throw in the garbage,
So
that's
it'd
for
be
sure.
just a facade on the.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
So that would be my goal
I
as
have a
well.
question.
Go ahead.
The floor of the gazebo, is it in,
City workers fixed that.
okay,
So basically, you had several areas that were uneven. We dug it up and we bought a little concrete pouring machine, bought a bunch of bags of concrete, and we got it fixed up. It looks nice.
all right, good.
And it can still use some dirt backfill around it and stuff like that, but that's stuff we can do. That's stuff that's not gonna be big ticket items. It's not gonna cost the town a lot to do just a little more backfilling around it and make it, and maybe eventually get some benches back in there or something, make it more usable. Debbie has set up a very cute little Easter backdrop at the end of the hall, so if anybody is wanting to take Easter pictures, there's a very cute little Easter backdrop at the end of the hall. Stage curtains for the auditorium. I've only gotten 2 estimates. The first one was $1,957.02, and the other one was $2,241.21. We're gonna have to have the new stage curtain before the talent show in September. When I did talk to, and we've got some hooks and things, we did throw the old ones away that had holes and paint and everything. When I did talk to Tim about the hooks and stuff there, he doesn't even know if the hooks are adequate. He's not a theater person, so he said it may be that we would want to get. One of the estimates I got was from Northeast Stage, and the one I'm waiting to get back is Greenville Stage, and he said it may be that we would want to try to see if we could get them to come and install it as well, just because then they'll know if the hooks are adequate. We know that I don't know what I'm not a stage person, but the rolling thing that you open it and close it with, we know that used to be attached to the floor, and now it's just kind of dangling. And we had talked about if we do get the curtain, and we know that we rent the auditorium and stuff, we talked about we would probably want to put some hooks up high where the curtains could actually be draped up high when the auditorium's rented out, so kids aren't swinging and tearing them up and stuff, because we want to keep them the best they could. But we do know that there's going to be some attention, and Tim just said he didn't know if that was above him and Doug's pay grade or not, if, hanging a curtain, and if the hooks were going to hold them and stuff like that, and I get that, if you go and look at it, so that's something we need to think about on budgeting. And that's everything I have.
Thank you.
Anybody got anything for me?
No, just let me know when you get those numbers in on the curtain. We should be able to make that happen.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Make sure I'm following our order. Old business, item number 1, we have second reading on the ordinance to amend the budget for the purchase of a sanitation truck. This is gonna be, second and final reading. That's the Kenworth truck we just purchased from, Honeypath, and by the way, that is a outstanding looking truck, and it's been, flawless for us so far. It's been in use since day 1. So we're happy to have that one. Again, that's $100,000 out of our, where did that come from? Reserves. So this is second and final reading. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt on second and final reading for that budget amendment.
Move to adopt.
This motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander,
Second.
second by Councilman Rogers. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And we have none opposed. Gentlemen, if y'all will, put your John Hancock on that. Since it's a second reading, that needs to go to Michelle at the end of the day. Couple things, I think we can maybe make that work in this year's budget. Fireman's gazebo. All right, next up, new business. First reading on the ordinance to update the business license class schedule. This is something we do periodically from time to time to comply with the South Carolina Business License Tax Standardization Act. And basically what it does is update the NAICS codes for business licenses. And Michelle, do you have any further to add on that?
And this is something we have to do every 2 years. Nothing has changed in our pricing or anything, just everything's the same. Yeah, part about next year, every 2 years.
All right, this time I'll entertain a motion to adopt that ordinance amending our business license to comply with the South Carolina Business License Tax Standardization Act.
a motion to adopt.
A motion on the floor by Councilman Rogers,
I will second.
second by Councilman Alexander. Discussion. Again, this is a formality. This is not, we're not raising rates or anything like that. This is just something that keeps us in compliance with the state statute, dealing with business licensing. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call a question. All in favor? That is unanimous. Next up, item 3, first reading on the orders to amend the budget for the purchase of a sanitation truck. And we say, wait a minute, did we not just do that? A little deja vu. The answer to that is yes. We actually purchased a sanitation truck, a 2014 Freightliner from Toccoa Corporation back in August, and in the haste of daily life, we forgot to amend the budget to accommodate for that. So at this time, we need to amend the budget. That was again, that Freightliner sanitation truck has been in service too, and it's a 2014 Freightliner. We paid $109 for it. That got us through some pretty tough times. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to make that budget amendment as well.
Motion.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Rogers,
Second.
second by Councilman Alexander. Discussion. Hearing no more. Go ahead.
Mayor, just as a point of, just as a comment, this truck is, there's some rumors that this truck was not running well, but it's my understanding that it is running very well.
So rumor was that the mayor bought a truck with a blowed up engine. Well, is that possible that could happen? It's a used vehicle. You know, if everybody wants me to raise taxes, wants this body to raise taxes as much as we can, so we can drive the shiniest new piece of apparatus around, that's great. We can do that, but that's not the way, that doesn't meet our need. Our need was a functional 25 cubic yard truck that could do run day-to-day operations here at the town of Williamston. Now, what I did was I was able to find that thing in Toccoa, negotiated a price on it, went up there, met with them, took our team lead for sanitation. He went up there and drove it for about 2 hours, then drove it all the way back. Man, this thing runs fantastic. Well, 2 weeks later, it don't run no more. And so the rumor was it had a blowed up engine. Could it have blown up? Yep, it could have, but it turns out there was some screws loose on the flywheel that needed to be fixed, and it cost us a few $1,000s to get it fixed. But it beats the heck out of paying $400,000 for a brand new truck, and you got one truck. So, that's true. We bought a brand hammer new in 2020. It was a little smaller truck, which really doesn't accommodate what we need now, and that's probably one of the ones we're gonna sell. But that thing has been in the shop more than anything you could ever hope for. It stays in the shop all the time. So, anyhow, thank you for pointing that out. I'd forgotten about that. All right. Any further questions regarding that one? Did we vote on that one yet? No. Okay. At this time, I'll call a question. All in favor? And again, unanimous. We're not gonna sign those yet because it's just first reading on those. We'll have a second reading next month. This time, I'm gonna turn it over to Councilman Rogers, who I've tasked with any ACTC requests. Thankfully, he's decided he would pick that up. That's kind of one of his duties here when he was working for the town. So we're thankful that he continued to pick that up. So Councilman Rogers, item number 4 is balls in your court.
All right, what we have is a resolution that council will have to sign in order to present this application to the Anderson County Transportation Committee, requesting, I believe, it's 6 roads to be paved. We currently have 2 applications with them now. Should start seeing work in June or July of this year on South Green Street, Bigby Street, East Church Street, River Drive, Knight Street, and Traxler Avenue. And they've got another application that was
So
tabled.
that's the one we should see the work on first.
Yeah,
right?
that's the one that,
That's our oldest application.
yes.
The one you just read off. Okay.
Now, they tabled one at the last meeting we submitted back in August of last year. But to keep the ball rolling, we've got another one to submit at the next meeting at the end of this month. And those streets, will be, let me find a resolution here.
Here you go.
Thank you. So the streets will be, on the resolution here, will be Black Street, McClellan Street, Royal Drive, a couple of 100 feet on the beginning part of Royal and also on the end because they're deteriorating something awful. So we're just requesting some full depth patching there to try to salvage the road before it gets worse. McDonald Avenue, Shirley Drive, and Brookville Drive. So like I say, this will be submitted at the ACTC meeting at the end of April.
Do you have I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do you happen to have a list, for those folks that may be watching online on the ones that got tabled at our last one?
I've got a list here of what starts in July, what was tabled at the last one.
Okay, so tabled at the last one, so we've got funding and it's been appropriated for South Marine Street, Bigby, East Church Street, River Drive, Ninth Street, Traxler Avenue. Those will be done. We hope to see some construction on it this year.
Yeah, I mean, should see work beginning
June or
latter part
July.
of June or early July.
Then the second request that's kind of in limbo that they tabled was Harbison Drive, Keys Drive, Roger Street, A Street, B Street, and Randall Street. All right, those they tabled, so they haven't brought those up for vote yet. But in the meantime, we've put another application in for the ones that David just listed a few minutes ago.
But they're saying there's no money available for this last list, the mayor just called out. So they put us off again, so it may come up at the next meeting and we'll go ahead and accept our newest application as well. We try to keep something in the queue at all times and not miss a funding cycle.
We appreciate our friends at, the County Transportation Committee. For those of you who are watching online or those in the audience, we don't have a budget for paving roads. We never have.
We'd go broke. We'd go broke.
We go broke in a heartbeat. It's $1 million a mile is what it takes right now to pave a road. $1 million a mile. I promise you, we go broke real quick. What we depend on is gasoline tax. The way that works is you pay at the pump, a certain percentage of that is forwarded from the state of South Carolina down to the County C Funds Committee, and then they allocate it out to county roads, some state roads, and then smaller municipalities like ours, they take applications and they spend the money until they run out. They obviously look at our application, determine is this a true need, and obviously anything we submit is an actual need. We got some major issues with roads. But what we do is we buy coal patch all the time, like pallets of coal patch, and it's expensive. And our guys go through when a pothole develops, we come through and we put that coal patch in, tap it down real good, and that'll generally hold and suffice for a while. But you know, roads they're an issue everywhere. One other thing too to make people aware of is that in the town of Williamston, you got state roads such as Main Street, Hamilton Street, Greenville Drive, Anderson Drive, Belton Highway, Academy. All these, there's a lot of streets that you would not think are state roads that I couldn't pave it if I wanted to. They're state roads. They belong and are maintained by the state. And then you've got side streets like the ones we just read off. Those are completely our responsibility by state statute, although there's no funding available to us by state statute. So we have to go, pretty please, C Funds Committee, would you please help us in meeting those needs? And they've done a really good job with the amount of money that they have. Obviously, there's not an endless pot of money. But I think if you'll ride around on our streets, Main Street excluded, they're in better shape than a lot of other municipalities. And one reason for that is that we constantly have roads in the queue to get paved. And those are based strictly on need. Makes no difference what road it is, what ward it's in. We used to kind of look at it by wards. It doesn't make any difference. Wherever the need is where we're going to go to, and that's going to be put down on the list. Okay? All right, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to, can I read that list again?
Yeah.
To submit, I've got it. Resolution to submit request from the County C Funds Committee to pave Black Street, McClellan Street, do some patching on Royal Drive, McDonald Avenue, Shirley Drive, and Brookville. And also keep in mind, and I have not said this yet, but the town is also required to put a match forward on those monies. So if there's $1 million project, guess what? I gotta come up with $100,000. So that makes it tough too. Again, we don't have a paving budget, never have had one. In the whole history of the town of Williamston, we don't have a paving budget. So that makes it a little more difficult too. But I understand the C Funds Committee. the reason they do that is they want those dollars to go as far as they can, and they want us to have skin in the game, so. We've been doing that for quite a while, at least 5 years of doing 10% match on all projects. All right. Do I have a motion to, make that request? And adopt the resolution?
Be approved, me make a motion?
It would.
Okay.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Rogers,
I will second.
second by Councilman Alexander. Let's have some more discussion besides me talking. Anybody got any discussion?
Mayor, I would just want to state that I'm in favor of, these. I think they all, need to be repaired. Personally driven these, as many of our other residents have, and they are, I think right now, at least, from what I've seen, the ones, excluding the ones that we've already submitted and the ones that are state roads, these are the worst and the ones that need the most attention. I would, just let everybody know that doesn't know, I do live on Royal Drive, which is one of the roads here. I did not request that it be placed on this list.
What?
But, there, many of my neighbors, I know will appreciate that. And I do not believe, in my review of the state ethics, I don't believe, because it's a general, project that benefits everybody that lives on those streets and everybody that drives on them, which is, they're public roads, then I do not believe I have to recuse myself. But I did want to state that I did not, I noticed how bad Royal Drive was, but specifically did not request that it go on there to not have the appearance of impropriety.
Well, the mayor knew I was gonna submit it, so he sold out and moved.
So I'll add a disclaimer on there as well. I lived on Royal Drive since 2001. I recently moved. But it's been a problem for a while, and rather than me bringing it up and that becoming the mayor lives over there, he's getting his, number one, we're not paving the whole street. It's taking areas that if you ride through there, it's terrible. It's spider web, and if we neglect it, much longer, we will end up having to pave the whole road. Doesn't make a difference who lives there. So what this does is full depth patching in those areas where it's spider webbed and the foundation has begun to deteriorate to the point where asphalt's coming up. So it's basically to prolong the life of the existing asphalt that we have.
That road is 25 years old.
It is 25 years old. You were one of the first to move in there back in the day. He doesn't live in there anymore either. So, thank you for bringing that to the attention, Councilman Cole. All right. We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? It's unanimous. Next up, we have first reading on an ordinance to purchase real property located on Scott Street per Councilman Cole. Councilman Cole was absent at our last meeting that was special called for that first reading. He got tied up in court and was unable to make it, and that ended up with a split 2-2 vote. And so he's asked that it be on the agenda again. Councilman Cole?
Mayor, just by way of introduction, I would move that this be passed on first reading tonight. I apologize to you, Mayor, my fellow members of council, and the citizens for not being at that last meeting, but as the mayor said, I had a employment obligation that I thought would be over with in time for me to at least call into the meeting. But as the mayor will tell you, I called him. I told him I would call him if I wasn't going to make it over and be able to vote by and participate by phone as our rules allow. I called him at about, I think the meeting was about 3:30 that day, and I called him at 3:40 as soon as I got out of the conflict, and the meeting was already over. So do apologize for that, but I do think this is in the public interest, and that's why I'm making that motion. My understanding from people who are smarter than me in these matters is that this is a home that's been given to us, that this lot is necessary for the home to be moved. it's adjoining a lot that the town already owns. Part of the deal with the home that was given to us is that, if we take it, we had to pay to move it. And from listening, from advice that has been received from contractors, who again know much more than I do, and real estate broker who knows much more than I do, then it would, is projected to be a significant profit for the town once this home is moved and sold. And I think there's been numbers that have been, a rough estimate of $100,000 or something like that in profit to the town. And I think about all the capital expenses like police cars, improvements to our buildings, improvement to our park, things that we could use with that money, and I think that that's a good investment. Now, obviously, with any investment, there's going to be a degree of risk in anything that you do. There's going to be a degree of risk, and the people that have money in the stock market have seen that lately. Me and all of us that have retirement and everything else, you always have a chance that you could lose some. But real estate generally, as the mayor has said before, I agree with him. I think he got an old saying from a mutual person we know that they ain't making any more land. So it's generally a good investment. And in this particular circumstance that the town has been put in, I think that, or that the opportunity the town has, I think that it is a good use of our money, and especially we've already approved, my understanding, everything else. This is just an additional $8,000 to purchase a lot beside it. But even if we don't make anywhere near what we hope, we may make more than $100,000, we may make less, we may make much less. Very small risk that we lose money, but I think that risk is probably close to zero. But based on expert opinions from people who are smarter than me, even if we got a tenth of that, even if we only netted $10,000, that's $10,000 we can add to our reserve funds, $10,000 that we can use for public purposes. So with all of that, I'll have that as my introduction and discussion on this motion. I would move for it to be passed.
All right. Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Cole. Looking for a second to go into discussion. Have a second by Councilman Alexander for discussion. Since we are on that topic, I'll add a little bit more to that. This particular property, as Councilman Cole alluded to, is not absolutely necessary to move that home over to. The problem with the property as it stands that the town owns is that it's a very narrow piece of property. It had a single wide, like a 1950 or 60 single wide, that was moved in sideways, so the road goes this way, the trailer's set this way, so it's a very narrow, pretty deep piece of property. The home could fit on there, but it doesn't give much yard. And the lot beside of it is a vacant lot. It's the exact same size, but it's a vacant lot. And the purpose of, you could put another trailer there or a very small home. But we have set up zoning and other things to try to improve neighborhoods to where you don't have little trailer lots. You've got decent sized lots with a decent sized home. It is true that I expect there to be a profit to the town of Williamston on the sale of this home once it gets moved over there. And certainly the purchase of that second lot, which will make it much more desirable, would do two things. It would improve the area, and it would also add to the tax base. With having affordable housing's been a difficult thing in town as well. So that's one more house that maybe you or a loved one could be able to purchase affordable and be able to live and be a productive citizen in our town. Councilman, members of council, I will say that even if we don't make $1 on it, it's still a great investment for the town because we're taking a lot that is empty. And for those of you who don't know, typically when you have an empty lot, we have to have codes enforcement go over there and remind them to cut the grass 3 or 4 times a year to go knock it down. Empty lots are not good in an area that already has homes all around it. it becomes an eyesore, it becomes, problematic. So this knocks, multiple, birds out with one stone, and hopefully will generate a significant profit to the town. I have heard, other members of council say, well, I don't think that we ought to be in the property business. Well, I agree to an extent. I agree to an extent. However, we also own this property. I've also heard members of council say, well, the town went broke years ago, and we had to sell off all this property the town owned. Yeah, but I'll also remind that had we not had those properties at that time, the town probably wouldn't exist today. Those properties are what saved this town, paid the bills, paid the payroll, and kept us afloat. Now granted, I don't like the way that happened at all, and I never, ever, ever want to see the town get in that shape again. But the fact of the matter is, we've got a history, and that happened. And so those properties that were fire sold out for pennies on the dollar kept the town afloat. Wish we had a lot of those properties back today. So with that said, further discussion.
I was just gonna echo, I was gonna say what you had mentioned, where even if we don't make any money on this, it's an improvement to the community. This is my ward. We're taking two basically unusable lots, or barely usable at that, and we're combining them into one.
Desirable lot.
Yes. And we're combining them into one desirable lot and moving a house that has been given to us. And so I think it would be something that would benefit, that area off of Belton Drive, so.
Let me also add too, $8,000 for a lot. I don't know if anybody's bought a lot anywhere around. That is extremely reasonable, for a lot. So, that took a lot of personal equity for me to pick up the phone and call the owners of that and try to convince them that it would be in their best interest to sell that to the town of Williamston to be able to improve that community. Any other discussion? Here none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And all opposed? 3-1. All right, next up we have a resolution to recognize April as Fair Housing Month. Well, we're into housing tonight, aren't we? I'll read it in its entirety. Whereas the town of Williamston desires that all of its citizens be afforded the opportunity to attain a decent, safe, and sound living environment. And whereas the town of Williamston rejects discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, and/or familial status in the sale, the rental, or provision of housing services. And whereas the state of South Carolina enacted the South Carolina Fair Housing Law in 1989, and whereas April is recognized nationally as Fair Housing Month, now therefore be resolved, the town of Williamston does hereby designate April as Fair Housing Month. This time I'll entertain a motion to adopt that resolution as read.
So moved.
I'll second.
A motion on the floor by Councilman Cole, second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion? All right, here and then we'll call the question. All in favor? And it's unanimous. Need y'all to sign that one, please, since it's a resolution. Get that to Michelle. Pass that one back over to me.
I got it, I'll give it to him.
Just give it to Lee, let Lee sign it.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I got,
The CTC resolution, you gonna sit it down or what?
if you give it to Michelle, she can get it sent down. Whatever you want to do. Do I have it?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yep, we need to sign that one too.
I need to get that submitted tomorrow.
Thank you for letting me know, because I'd have forgotten all about it. John Hancock, that one. All right, while they're signing, I got a couple things I want to go over, give the community a few updates for the good of the order. Number one is the town hall's HVAC and our heating and cooling in our gymnasium area or auditorium, whatever you want to call it, the big open area at Town Hall, that wrapped up this week, is that correct? Those units are online and they feel nice, and hopefully they're gonna save us a ton of money. That we went with a Mitsubishi split unit that goes in over there, so council appropriated that last year, and they just finally got that project completed, so looking forward to those cost savings and some good, cool air this summer. If you decide to rent that place, we got more than enough air to accommodate you and your guests. So, thank council for that, making that happen. Trail expansion. I mentioned earlier that Veterans Park is shut down for a number of reasons. Number one, the bridge is, compromised. It was compromised during Hurricane Helene, and, we're working on making some repairs there. But at the same time, we've also got a trail expansion project, through an ARC grant. It's a 50-50 grant that expands our trail from Veterans Park across Williams Street and, follows the creek on toward Mill Street. So, look forward to that coming to fruition. It did come in under budget, which is good. I think we had budgeted $600,000. It came in at 201, somewhere thereabout. So, spoke with the grant folks earlier, and there's some things that we might be able to do to spend some of those monies on something that's got to be still fit the scope of that grant. And one of the things we talked about potentially was maybe some exercise equipment, you know, the outdoor exercise stuff, so that if you're out walking the trail and you decide you want to do some pull-ups, sit-ups, that type of stuff. So know that that's coming down the pipe. We expect construction to start on it. Should be this month or next month. So again, that'll follow right through Veterans Parks. We're looking forward to that. Had several complaints about the toddler park in Mineral Spring Park, the little toddler playground. I didn't think much about it, but people wanted it fenced in so the toddlers don't go run. Same thing at Brookdale, so we fenced them in, but there is absolutely no seating anywhere around the toddler park. So once that was brought to our attention, we ordered some benches. Those benches came in and they're very, very nice. Almost, they kind of look like wood, but they're the plastic style material. If you're familiar with the heavy plastic that's got the rockers on it, they're very, very comfortable. So y'all please go out and enjoy those. Those came in this week. We had some discussion, and we had on second reading the Trinity Baptist Church property. That's some property, I think it's 11 acres that Trinity has proposed selling to the town. And we're waiting on them to have a survey done to cut out the 4 acres they wish to keep out of that 15-acre parcel. And I went back and forth, and in doing my due diligence, obviously I talked to several realtors in the area at what does land, developable land, go for at today's market rate. And in that conversation, back up, the church has requested $275 for that acreage, and that's $275,000. And so, in looking back over that and talking with other realtors, at least 3 realtors, everybody was pretty much unanimous that the price should be around $250,000 as opposed to $275. Would be in the market range, but $275 would be too high. The argument, or not the argument, the point was, if that property already had roads through it, and a builder or developer or someone could go through and just start building homes tomorrow, the $275 would be in that range. One of the things that I'm required to do is do due diligence and make sure that whatever the town, before I bring a proposal to this body, I need to make sure that it's good value, number one, and we have a public use for it. Currently, there's been some ideas talked around about another park. I need another park like I need a hole in my head. I do not need another park. We need to take advantage, we need to improve the ones we have, and we need to keep those things up and maintained. That's just my thoughts as the mayor. It's been talked about moving the ballparks there, or baseball fields that are currently owned by the school district, but we lease those out. We still have about probably 18 years on a 20-year lease that we have from the school district. So, and if you look at that property, we have 4 fields over here, 3 Little League, 1 girls softball. There's not enough property there to move those fields over to the property we're talking about behind Trinity and be able to build and develop that area in the future and still have any type of parking, which is the issue we have now. That's one of the big issues we have. Number 1, we don't want it. Number 2 is there's no parking available. So you gotta kind of just free for all wherever you can find parking. And when and if Ingalls ever comes, we'll see. That's going to exacerbate that problem because you're going to have folks parked all over there. And when youth league comes and grandma and grandpa and aunt and uncles, decide to come, there's not going to be a whole bunch of places to park. My point being, I do not have an immediate use for that property. So I've got two issues with it. It's higher than what I'm comfortable with, the asking price, and I don't have an immediate use. And one of the things by state statute is that if we purchase the property, I've got to be able to reasonably articulate to you, the constituent, we can do something with this. And right now, I can't say that right this moment. That may change next week. I may have an epiphany and go, we can do something with this and we need to go for it. But at this present moment, I cannot. The Trinity Baptist still needs to carve out that 4 acres, no matter if they sell to the town or anyone else. So, that has been tabled. If it's brought back up, bring it back up at the present moment, okay? That's,
Before it's brought up for a vote, I'd like for all the council to get on the side-by-side or something and ride that property
absolutely.
during dry weather.
And I have not done that, but I've heard there's some wet issues. I've also been assured, no, that's only in one little small area, that there's a natural spring there, but it's not swampy land. I don't know, I can honestly say I've not walked that property, but I can tell you before I vote in favor of, I would have to go out there and see that property. I'd want a map of the property to kind of be able to tell what the elevations are, where we need to cut down, backfill, and so on and so forth, because my gut tells me that in certain places, development will be fairly expensive. Does anyone have anything else for the good of the order? I don't have anything for executive session, thankfully.
I got a couple of things, Mayor.
Okay.
Since we're talking about benches tonight, about every other conversation but a bench, what we would need to do, get some benches or a bench at the Chris Coleman Park, Pocket Park, beside Bojangles?
Those are actually ordered. Those are the, it's actually a table, a round or octagon style table, that will have benches and a table going in there.
Okay.
If you want more we actually have 2 benches available, at the shed too, that we could put somewhere. That they would bolt down to concrete, so.
And I just had a citizen that walks consistently.
Yep.
And so stop there and take a
The
break.
whole purpose of that gazebo is so that someone go to Bojangles or whatever, go get them something to eat, or Fiesta, go over there and sit down and actually enjoy, looking out and seeing Main Street and all the happenings.
Okay. Regarding the Veterans Park Bridge, is that gonna be FEMA reimbursable?
That's gonna be a question up to our consultant. We didn't find out about it till after the fact, but
They did not, we would have to get approval from the state, because that's what they told us when we went, when we were talking to them. Because we passed the deadline, but, we were told when we brought it up to them today, because we went to commercial shop, that we would not have to go through the state, and it was approved.
that's good news.
Good news.
Because that could be an expensive repair.
Okay. What would it take to update our wayfaring signs? I mean, you look back, I mean, they're antiquated. I mean, need something to lead people to Brookdale Park. I mean, people have been looking for Brookdale Park in the last few weeks. They don't know how to get over there.
Need a design, and then we'd have to get that approved through SCDOT, since most of them go on their right of ways.
I mean, like the Veterans Park you're talking about. I mean, the dog park, Caroline Civic Center. I mean, it'd be nice if we had some signs out on your public roads directing people how to get to some of these places.
Sure.
Because we have a
I
lot of
would
town.
love to see that. I guess this body, if you'd like to head that one up, that'd be great, but the problem is, we can go to a sign shop and just get, street sign that says Brookdale
No,
this way.
we want something nice.
I think so too, but that requires, typically like a monument style sign or something like that. And it would require, number one, we gotta get pricing on it, we gotta figure out what they gonna say, the logo or whatever it needs to be on it, and then we got to get SCDOT approval, and then we gotta find locations to put them at, because you're gonna have,
Well, I mean, we've got several out now.
I
Where?
started to say, when Sonia was here, we done like.
I mean, one on Anderson Drive, you got them on Anderson Drive, Greenville Drive, West Main Street, we've got several through town.
oh, you're talking about the ones that still says,
I was thinking I may have to file.
the ones that still say farmer's market and stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to
Artery,
update on
artery.
that. So we wouldn't have to get permission to do it, we
No,
just need to
we
update.
just need to update the changing.
Yeah.
If you got that, I would love to see that would change. I'm thinking like, if you go down Greenville Drive, how do we tell people there's a public park over
Well, I
there?
think we would need a new sign for the park, because the one that's currently on Greenville Drive, I don't think it's
There's not
in
one.
a good location for
There's-
Brookdale.
There's not one on Greenville Drive, I tell you.
Oh, he's talking about the,
Oh, the wayfaring
Yeah.
sign?
no, he's talking about the gateway entrance sign.
No, I'm talking about the one that, there's,
Yeah, there's a
there,
wayfaring
Is there one?
sign
Okay.
yeah,
near the barber shop.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Now, do you mind if I work with Roberta on
No, that'd be
trying to get a
wonderful.
design on this?
That'd be great.
And there is, that property
sign is across the street from the barber shop on the opposite side of the
Well,
road.
if we need to put something on the other side, which we might be able to work something out.
We're on DOT's right of way, so DOT's given us permission to put those signs there. They had to be certain breakaways, so if somebody hits it, there, meet certain safety standards. But what my thoughts were, and I apologize, that's not the ones I was thinking about.
Yeah, you're
The
talking about gateway
wayfinding,
sign.
I'm thinking about, like, if I'm driving down Greenville Drive and I pass the sign you're talking about near Friendly's Barber Shop, and it says Brookdale Park straight ahead, and I keep going, if there's nothing to direct me
Yeah.
off onto Brown or to, Maury's Drive, I'll get you there, East Carolina or Brown, then it's gonna take more than just that one sign. I would like a comprehensive, well, it's gonna take 3 or 4 signs, but I'd like a comprehensive along with maybe a monument-style sign at Brookdale Park.
Yeah.
We've got the new shelter has a beautiful big, Brookdale #1, but I think down on the ground, if we had a nice monument-style sign, would work out really well. We want people to know about our public parks, we want people to use those public parks, we have put considerable investments in there. But if people don't know, I can't tell you how many people say, I had no idea there's a park back there.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to find them, they can't.
Yeah.
Williamston's doing a movie night at our parks too. So maybe
Fantastic.
so we'll advertise all 3 parks.
Bring more
We'll have
attention.
a movie, and we'll try to put balloons up, and we'll try to advertise it in advance and stuff, bring it.
Perfect. Sounds good. That brings to mind one more thing too. I meant to tell you, Councilman Haga is not here, but he had requested a football field at Brookdale Park. We met with contractors, the numbers came in at around 25,000, which is what our, budget number was on the park grant. It's a 20,000 state money, 5,000 the town money. And basically what they're gonna do is take the old tennis courts, laser level them, bring in dirt, and then laser level those things so they can be practice fields for our Little League football. So that's gonna bring some activity over to Brookdale Park too. Again, the more activity we have, the better off we're gonna be. Right now, the old tennis courts, they haven't been used in decades. The grass doesn't grow over top of them. So that'll be a good use of that too. And that guy's supposed to start this week.
He asked me if he could start the week they were done.
Okay, so there's a lot of things happening, so that's one more good update too that, just to make everybody aware of.
And I'm trying to place the old tennis courts, I don't know where they're at.
Down there toward the lagoon on the right.
Okay.
As you start heading
Yeah.
toward the lagoon on the
Yeah,
right, you got
we
little
had
steps
to-
going down.
We had to crush concrete put in for parking.
And the horseshoes. We
Yeah.
had horseshoes there at one time, yep. All right,
Mayor, very briefly, I have a couple items for good of the order.
okay. The floor's yours.
First, I would, like to ask, Mayor, and I know it appears to me that the railroad is, been doing construction on the bridge on, Gossett Drive, and that they are, hopefully getting close to their, completion of that. So I would request, and I know, the mayor has a million things going on, and that, you've been monitoring this situation closely, but I would reiterate, previous request to take any action necessary to open back Gossett Drive as quickly as possible. I would request that.
Okay.
And also, in general, I wanted to, first, there have been some comments, and the mayor has made some comments on Facebook and otherwise about some complaints about the park and cleanliness. And I want to say publicly, I greatly appreciate all the work that our town employees do in trying to keep the park clean. I greatly appreciate all the time that the mayor and other members of council, I know that volunteer their time to keep things clean and to keep things updated. And there's so many things that go on behind the scenes that are done that people don't want recognition for, and I understand that, but it's looking back, sometimes it's easy to sit back and say, oh, nothing's being done, when somebody did do a whole lot, it just got messed up again the next day. So I would encourage, and I said this on Facebook, but I want to say it in this forum too, so I know not everybody's on there, but as far as the parks go, or any of our public places, or anything with the town, I would encourage, and I think that I speak for our other members of council, if you have any complaints about anything, or you see something that's wrong, or if you see something that's a town ordinance violation or something like that, then to call the non-emergency police line. See something that's a crime in progress, an emergency, call 911. If you see something that's just a complaint or a comment or criticism, anything like that, call one of us or contact one of us, a councilman, the mayor, contact town hall, and they will direct you to the appropriate person to talk to. And because sometimes we don't know, once we know that there's an issue, we can get right on it. But sometimes we don't know that it's an issue until somebody brings it up. And sometimes it goes so far as it gets brought up in public and makes the town look bad. And I'm not criticizing anybody that posts anything or anything like that. They have the right to do whatever they want to do. But if I know, at least speaking for me, and I believe I can speak for everybody else up here, if a person brings a concern to us, we're going to do everything that we can to try to address that, as far as stuff in the park and just anything in general to do with the town. So, and we appreciate everybody in town keeping a lookout. You know, there's a few people that do bad things. There's a few people that make a mess, a few people that commit crimes, a few people that vandalize, a few people that just don't clean up after themselves. But the vast majority of our citizens, the vast majority of people that use our parks are good folks and using it the way that it's supposed to be used. And so we appreciate everybody keeping an eye out, and we all working together to keep this gift that we were given so many years ago by our forebears, all the gifts we were given, keep those up and keep those for our future. So thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Cole, you asked the mayor about the railroad and Gossett Drive. The railroad, the holdup is they're waiting on some specially ordered cross ties because of curve and everything, and waiting on lights. That's the holdup right now on that.
And that would not preclude opening up the road. They could do that. The problem is they have to try and reclose it back to do the installation once that stuff comes in. It's a lot easier just to leave it closed while they're waiting on it. I will do my best to try to get a timeline, and if it's gonna be, within a week or two, go ahead and do their thing. But if it's gonna be longer than that, I'm gonna request they go ahead and open it back up and then shut it back down for the few days they need to make those changes. I'm gonna reiterate something that Councilman Cole alluded to, especially when it comes to us dropping the ball. We're human, and we make mistakes. We have employees here that have a heart of gold, but from time to time, they drop the ball. From time to time, I drop the ball. But ultimately, it's my responsibility. It falls on nobody but me. I'm the guy in charge on day to day. So if somebody screws up, it's my problem. You can blame me. Don't blame the people that work under me. It's my fault for either not following up with them. It's my fault for not giving them direction. Nobody to blame but me. But I will add that there was some pictures made with a bunch of trash over in Veterans Park that had not been cleaned up. And when I reached out to my staff, they said, Veterans Park's closed. But no, I hadn't been checking it because it's closed. There's nobody over there. Well, clearly somebody had been going over there and filled up a trash receptacle. Actually, the trash receptacle was removed. They filled up the dog poop station. And so it's overflowing. And yes, it looked really bad. And it's embarrassing. To be quite honest with you, for me, it's embarrassing. And we put measures in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. We're checking it, even though it's closed, we're still checking it to make sure, number one, our signage is up, clearly indicating that it's closed, and keeping police out of that area. We have a very, very limited staff. Everywhere from fire to police to, we got one guy that goes through and cleans those restrooms every single morning, every day. I can't help that by 9 o'clock, people have done destroyed the daggum restrooms, but they're cleaned every single morning. And they're locked up every evening. And, I have people say, well, why don't you buy a camera on the we have cameras on the restrooms. When you find one that has advanced intelligence that can tell me which one of the 50 people that went in that restroom within that hour that we know that it happened left a turd on the floor, I will buy it. All right, but that hadn't been invented. I know that's a little unprofessional, but I'm just telling you how I feel. We don't have that yet, okay? and I can't put a camera inside of a restroom. We have to do the best we got to work with. And believe me, I promise you, it's frustrating as all get out to our staff who has to go clean that mess up, number one. And number two, to have to sit for hours and go, my wife says, you ought to be able to tell by their face when they come out who did it. Well, try to bring that before a court, you know, and Your Honor, he did it. I know, look at his face. That doesn't hold the weight, all right? And the last thing I want to do is falsely accuse somebody of doing something they didn't do. It's just a fact of life. We have a public park. We have several public parks, but you got one that's visited by thousands of people a day. And there's gonna be messes left. There's gonna be improvements that we need to make, and I'm committed to doing those. Just Friday, I think it was, our staff just installed baby changing tables in there. Until you have a kid, you don't think much about it. But imagine, you know, when that baby got to go and you got to change the diaper, your options are pretty limited out there. So hopefully that'll be a nice place where they can make changes. One thing that we are looking at doing is this next upcoming budget cycle is making some improvements to the restrooms in Mineral Spring Park. They're severely undersized. Little accommodations will go a long way that we're already implementing, such as the installation of a spigot inside the restroom, so that when you do have big messes, you can go bleach it down and just hose it right down the floor drain, instead of mopping it and trying to drag a mop out and have to empty mop water every day. It makes it much easier and a lot more efficient to clean than it does slinging a mop and, you know, slinging dirty water around all over the place. So we are making changes. We hear you. We're making changes, and we're committed to it. But when we drop the ball, the buck stops with me. It's my problem. All right? Feel free to call me anytime. Any other questions? At least for the next 3 years is my problem. After that, it can be somebody else's problem. All right. At this time, we'll proceed to close, and do I have a motion?
Motion.
Have a motion on the floor to adjourn by Councilman Rogers.
Second.
Second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion on adjournment? This time we'll call the question. All in favor? And we stand adjourned. Thank y'all for coming out today.
I accidentally started this sign. Okay, I can make it. I have got I have some samples, and I'm gonna work on those and get them to him. So,
I don't wanna wait too long.
yeah, no, I don't need to, I wanna get it done.
I wanna make sure it's in his court, he didn't close it.
After I talked to him,
To me, that makes sense, because they've got time.
I haven't even mentioned it to him. I just, on my own, I just went and got some samples.
Well, they want new ones, I guess, yeah.